Hey there, the Leatherman curl. I'm just doing a bit of a follow-up on it because I've been carrying it more in the last, little while, I suppose. I got this initially when they first came out, reviewed them, sort of forgot about them. I've got a few multi-tools around. Usually I have the charge on me or around me, and this is the one that usually gets picked up and used. But this one was in the drawer about, probably a month or so ago, and I was like, you know what? The charge can have a rest. We'll let it in its thickness have a bit of a break, and I'll see if this guy here sort of picks up the slack just as well. And frankly, it does. For what I'm using a Leatherman for, I don't really use them for the outdoorsy, campy purposes. I use them just for around the house odd jobs. So things like, most recently this morning, I was changing the bathroom tap, which the threaded screwed, it needed a new screw put through. It was a perfect little Leatherman job. So I got my camera tripod, as a normal person does, cooped myself up in the shower cubicle with it, and filmed myself obviously changing that screw, and it was great. Really enjoyable doing that. At any rate, but truly, it's I just find that having it on me and having it lighter, so therefore being on me more, makes me use it more. So it's been good. So the curl for me is kind of what the Wave was 10 years ago in the Leatherman hierarchy of who buys it. So I think now the first Leatherman for someone is probably a good idea to make it the curl, because this is now the 150 Australian dollar tool. Back when Waves used to be like $90 in America and 150 here in Australia. Those are the days, right? So now this is that sort of price point, and the Wave is now 229 in Australia and probably 150 US dollars. I don't know what you guys are paying. Anyway, so the curl is basically a Wave just with a limited tool set, and I'll show you the limitations. So the Wave, you would remember, is a bit like the Charge, has 4 outer tools. So it's got a saw, a serrated blade on one side, and then it's got the plain blade knife and the file on the other side, right? So the curl goes sort of more industrial rather than camping, and it gives you a plain blade and a file, and that's it for the outer tools, right? And on the other side, instead of having tools at all, it's got just a pocket clip. So really does reduce the bulk for sure. So extra sort of couple millimeters of layers that would be for the tools. And also makes it nice and pocketable. It's quite a nice pocket clip to have in your pocket, so I'm happy with that. And that has been what has made me use it more, so cool. And then the other reduction in capability or whatever, I suppose, is that the inside, the pliers are not the replaceable jaws. So you see, and this has never mattered to me, and I go on about it every time I do a Leatherman review, but I feel like the replaceable jaws were more something for Leatherman than for us. Right? So now if I was to bust these jaws, right, I would have to order a replacement myself and pay, the $20 or whatever it is for a new set of these. If I was to bust these, I'd just use Leatherman warranty, send the tool away for a bit, and it'd come back fixed, right? I mean, I know you don't want to be without your Leatherman for a while, but I mean, most of us dorks have more than one Leatherman, don't we? So I don't know, that to me just seems, and the quality of cutting isn't remarkably different. I haven't really noticed in terms of cutting wire with one versus the other, and doing a Pepsi challenge, I wouldn't really be able to tell. So I don't mind that being a cost saving or reduction at all. So that one's fine. What people might like a little bit less is that the inner handle tools now are not locking. So instead they just pop open, and they are held with a pretty strong, pretty stiff detent spring behind, whereas on the Charge or the Wave, so we'll look at, we'll get out the driver on the Charge and we'll show 1-to-1. The Wave is the same. So on the Charge, there's this button lock lever here, whereas on the curl, there is not. So on the Charge, to unlock the driver, you have to push in the button and it locks down, whereas on the curl, just snaps up and snaps down. You need a fair bit of pressure to unlock that, so it doesn't happen accidentally, it hasn't for me anyway, but if you are properly, using your Leatherman out in a really rugged environment, maybe you still want them locking tools, don't know. But for me, it really hasn't been an issue. So that's the sort of reduction that you get, but everything else inside the handles is the same. So one side is driver and can opener, and the other side is scissors, flathead driver, and flathead driver and awl. The Charge and Wave do have the mini driver as well. So that's the one tool that isn't on this, and this one, that's right, has the awl. So the awl is on the curl. And I don't know, would you use an awl more than a eyeglasses screwdriver? I guess that depends on if your face looks like mine. But yeah, truly speaking, though, I don't generally use this a huge amount. I don't find the screws falling out of my glasses so often that I'm, wishing I had a eyeglass screwdriver on me all the time. I must admit, I do seek this out and use it a couple of times a year when that's actually a thing. The awl, on the other hand, I use it for picking and scraping stuff out all the time. I was going over my lawnmower the other day. I was kind of detailing all the bits of grass and shit out of it with this as its like little scraper tool. It's good when your knife blade is, you don't want to ruin your knife blade or something like that. That being said, I use the knife blade a whole lot, the plain blade, basically as a pry tool as well. When you need that really fine edge to get into something to then pop it out. No, it's not great for the blade, but that's exactly what these sort of blades are for, in my opinion. Just absolutely using and abusing. So there we are. Look, overall, the curl has been, I've been really appreciating it. It's been cool. It's cool to revisit something that I was initially a little bit lukewarm on or just wasn't rapturous about. Because it does have some benefits. It's a lot lighter and a lot easier to carry around than the Charge, especially because the Charge has this extra layer of chunky scales as well. I have a Wave, but it's at work. But the general tool set for me indoors is great. I could see the merits in maybe them doing like a camping or an outdoor variant of it with perhaps the saw instead of the file. That might be cool. Don't know, there's a few little things they could do like a curl tool or a second type of curl. That might be all right. But as it is now, it's a really good around the home multi-tool. And I really like it a lot more. If you're after entry-level Leatherman, I would start with either this or the Core, because I've never taken to the Wingman Sidekick. They've got that stamped feeling to them where the scales feel really tinny and the tools feel really over-polished and really like low quality is how those have always felt for me. And even moving on to those, like the magnetic, the free P2 and P4, they've got a lot of those same kind of stamped out feeling tools. So I still think the Wave, Charge, Rebar, Surge series is the best Leatherman series. And this is definitely a part of that series very, very comfortably. So it's a good entry-level Leatherman, and probably the one I'd recommend getting as like your default gift Leatherman now. I think most people, especially someone who's never had a Leatherman before, would still feel like this was a really premium, really cool tool. And it's only us kind of real geeks that know that, oh, that's actually the lower end Wave. And a normal person wouldn't really think that anyway. So that's my thoughts on the curl. They've definitely sunnied over the last couple of years that I've had it around the place, and specifically in the last month where I've actually been carrying it and using it a fair bit. So that's the video for today. Hope you found it interesting, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.